Welcome, everyone. Excited to have a webinar here with Erica. The goal here today is just to talk about how we can make HOAi work smarter and faster. I'm joined here with Erica Harper from Alliant Property Management, located in Florida. She's the Vice President of Digital Transformation. My name's Daniel Adams. I'm a FDE located in Atlanta, Georgia, and excited to be here. Before I get started, though, some quick housekeeping. If there are any questions, just put them in the QA box. We want to know what you guys are thinking about when it comes to HOAi, anything to how the product's working for you, or also if you have any input on it working faster and smarter. But also, if you want at any point of time to have a demo of HOAi, all you need to do is put meet in the QA box, and our team is going to follow up with you and get you that demo. So if you are interested in a recording as well, that'll be posted after the webinar, and we'll email that out to you guys. Yeah, again, my name's Daniel, and I'm a forward deployed engineer. Worked closely with Erica and her team. Erica, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Erica Harper with Alliant Property Management. We are a Southwest Florida management firm serving communities from Marco Island through Port Charlotte, and we've been in the association management space for more than 20 years. Our teams work with condos and HOA association boards, supporting thousands of homeowners and volunteer board members across the region. Like many of you in this room, we're constantly trying to balance great service, operational efficiency, and the increasing expectations from board members and homeowners. Over the last several years, that's really pushed us to focus on process improvement and technology, which is what led us deeper into the Vantaca ecosystem and ultimately exploring tools like HOAi. I'm excited to share what we've learned along the way and hear how others in the industry are approaching it as well.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like you're just like an advocate for HOAi, but also like your people as well. I think that's so cool. And I feel really lucky to get to work with you as someone who is passionate about the people they work with, but also like the product and moving. Yeah, how can we implement AI in our day-to-day world? I've seen you do it with all the way down to regular ChatGPT, but then also using HOAi. And I'm excited to chat more about that and how you guys have been advocates for it being, yeah, working better for you guys. A quick agenda, just want to talk about Alliance story. It's really a success story. And then what the journeys looked like. I'll give you guys a demo and we can chat more about what that partnership looks like and how it can be successful. And then we'll finish up with some questions. So Erica, if you want to go ahead and just chat about the success that y'all have had with HOAi.
Yes, it's actually been a lot of fun to see how successful this tool has been for us and our team. The biggest impact we saw was the capacity. Over the last 2 years, we were able to add roughly 5,000 additional units without increasing the headcount. And this statistic's a little old, so I don't know what it is today. But across the organization, automation improved workflows and HOAi, it returned over 300 of hours of staff time every week. So it's an equivalent of 7 full-time employee roles with roles worth of workload being absorbed by the technology that we are utilizing. Another important metric that for us was the ROI that we saw pretty instantaneously. I will say comfortably we saw it within 90 days. We started utilizing HOAi in our AP department, which was one of our bottlenecks. It was our pain point within our company at the time. And we were able to see such an improvement in how our invoices were being processed, what took days, weeks, months for some of our vendors to get paid, for even some of our managers to see an invoice in their queue to be approved. It was automatically in there once we went into HOAi voice. So our team was really excited about that. Our managers, our AP department, they get along great now. It's lovely. It's so fun to see that. We were able to actually reduce staff in our AP department, and I don't want anyone to be alarmed by that. We moved somebody else to a different role, somebody retired, and someone graduated college who was working remotely. So it actually worked out for us as we didn't have to train. And all the manual labor that they would do with all the coding. I mean, AP was touching our invoices 2 or 3 times before it went out the door. So it's been a huge improvement to see that. Yes. So yeah, we tackled accounts payable first. That was fun. We are working on the homeowner communications. We are not on the auto proceed with that yet. We are on some items that are just, portal logins, very easy task, but a lot of the homeowner communications we're still reviewing. We have our team that goes in, they either review what HOAI is doing and hit approve, or they actually use the HOAI chat and it helps them draft emails to the boards, email communications to residents. Instead of thinking so hard about how to draft that your dryer vents are going to be cleaned from the exterior this week and the interior next week, and you don't need access this week, but you need access this week, but there's volunteers. Instead of trying to find the perfect verbiage for that, HOAI is a great tool because it comes in, it just puts it together. You review it, looks great, and then you just send it out as a broadcast email. So it does help save time with that. We are utilizing it for board reporting, management reports. It's actually fun to see different managers utilize the board reporting tool because they all get different reports. If you put the work in, it will come out. Just to make sure you're utilizing it, prompting it, make sure you're giving it the right information. But it's funny to see two different people ask the same thing, two different computers, and they get two different answers sometimes. So it's been fun to see how their AIs are learning. With the how we started utilizing it, we just built it around the workflows that were probably the hardest for us. That took a lot of time, took a lot of people. Working with our FDEs, we were able to identify which ones we wanted to do. Also, utilizing Daniel and his team, we're able to see what they're seeing across the other clients as well. Like, oh, hey, this is an easy win. Let's try this. So AP was an easy win for us, whereas I think we were the first ones that went live with AP actually. Before we went with HOAI, we actually went out and interviewed a few other people that were live with HOAI, and they they did it backwards, I think, or we did it backwards from them. So we were a little bit nervous, but we were excited to see the success that we had right away.
When would you say that was, Erica, that you first launched with AP?
March of 2025.
So we're coming up on a year, and knowing that it's working automatically really is a cool testament just to see how it didn't really take a year fully to get there. But no, pretty cool to see that you were one of the first to launch, and now AP is one of our first to tackle with most of our clients, I would say.
Well, that's amazing. No, it was really a great learning process, learning curve for everyone. And the simple invoices is what get you through, but we're here in Florida and have some complex ones with the utilities, but we'll get there. But at the same time, it's really processing all of the ones that we did on a regular basis. So it's been great. And our AP supervisor is super happy, and we love that.
Definitely. We love Tony. Shout out to Tony. I feel like too, the last thing I wanted to bring up as you're talking through that is your last bullet point here is that, right, there were some edge cases and there were some specific invoices that are tied to Alliant. And that's something that we would never expect you to then figure it out alone. And what's cool is to get to work beside you guys and help train the agent to then respond correctly to those specific situations. So I think that's really cool.
Yes, we had a great team for all of our HOAIs.
Cool. Yeah, just to then talk through what does it look like to make HOAI work smarter and faster to address your edge cases. Or maybe it's a unique case. Maybe it's a unique case that you see frequently. The kicker here is we need more context. I feel like that's the main point that I want to drive home in helping our clients understand, right, how to make HOAI work faster and smarter. And something that I know Erica can attest to seeing her AP team specifically train the agent to then address all of those situations. And it starts with the workflow and making modifications. And that will begin the foundation of building the logic. And then you continue to do that. And even after we are on auto proceed, it's just communicating with your FDE. So really quickly, I want to go over a quick iteration here. Let's see. An example that I have set up. Here we go. So here we are at Unicorn Management Company. And I just want to give an example of what it looks like to work and to provide specific context. And what do I even mean by that? So if you are on your landing page, you would click on a specific proposal and then click modify. We can see here how it would populate any proposal. You would click modify just in an effort to keep things quick. Once you click modify, it opens up this proposal. And it looks like the recommendation is not loaded yet. Oh,
There it
really?
is.
There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So here at the top, we can see that this is technically the prompt that's originally put in by the agent. I can read through all of the thinking that the agent does, but that's really not pertinent to you and your team. What is pertinent is this recommendation portion, which there is. We can see here what the agent's completed. And the question that was originally inquired about was regarding chickens and if they are allowed to be delivered to nocturnal thunder estates. And so we can see what the agent has done. It's confirmed the homeowner. It checked to see if there was duplicate inquiries. We can see the thought process of the agent, and the agent is just sending a reply. We can read it in the notes right here. It's reviewed the governing documents according to this specific page. Usual household pets are permitted with a limit of 3 per lot. And so it details that. But let's say in that situation, I am like, well, actually, chickens are, we have a form for chickens and we need her to fill out that form. And then I want her to make sure that she feels supported and that I don't want her to reach out to the board. So I've added this additional modification, an additional prompt for HOAi, the HOAi agent, to then create a new recommendation to then generate within Vantaca. So I would have typed that in. Let's assume in this case that we do have this form in our additional documents. And then I can see here that the agent has also added an updated proposal and it's going to include this form. Well, we can clearly see that we don't have a chickens form. It tried to pull an ARC form, but we can see here that it created a warm response to Elaine at Thunder Association. While our community guidelines generally specify usual household pets, we want to ensure you feel fully supported in the process. And I've attached our application form for you to fill out regarding this request for chickens. So now she feels really like empowered. Yes, all I need to do is fill out this form. It's a warm message to her so she could feel supported. But then it dawns on me, oh wait, we actually don't have that at all. You see, here's the agent as well, just saying that it's taken a supportive, welcoming tone. Actually, we don't have that. That's an ARC form. I got the two mixed up. And I need to tell the agent to say that we do not allow chickens under the Thunder Association in any circumstances. So this last modification is most likely what we would end up clicking proceed on. There will be a button here, and the response is going to be that it's prohibited. We can see here that the agent says, thank you for reaching out to us. We appreciate you checking in on the community rules, but the governing documents state that chickens are not permitted. Same thing, most likely we would end up proceeding on that. But that's just an example of how you can have the agent guided based on the context that you give it. I'm going to hop back over to the PowerPoint. Awesome. And so the goal here is just to have as much context as possible with the agent. And what does it look like to ensure that the partnership is successful for HOAi using and leveraging your FDE? Because one thing that I want to also make sure is clear is that, and Erica can attest to this, you're not alone in this journey of training the agent, of helping AI that we know starts off as an intern and doesn't know anything. How can you coach it to get to the point where it is auto proceeding on all of your invoices that come in to your invoice email? It starts off with context with the agent, and what you can do to help, right, train the agent, assuming it knows nothing, not even a utility bill, and just giving it that context when making modifications and training no different than you would someone that's new to your role. But the goal and what will happen is that the agent's going to learn more and it's going to be able to respond correctly if you do modify correctly. And then also, if you're communicating what your goals are and your priorities are to your FDE. I think communication to your FDE is such a huge aspect of success when it comes to making HOAI work faster and smarter because oftentimes we don't know what your priorities are. I don't know in Florida, certain invoices look different than they do out in Colorado. And so coming to the table and helping us help you guys, helping our clients is what's key. I just feel like that's a good foundation when it comes to a good partnership. And yeah, what would you say is from your perspective, Erica?
Yeah, to reiterate what you said, I think the communication between the management company and the FDE is very important. I also think like setting up guidelines to how to get things resolved. Some people like emails, some like to utilize the support, some like to have the weekly meetings, learning what works best for everybody. Also, I think when you're going to have a lot of different teams working with your FDEs over the time. Just there's different departments, there's different things to learn, but also making sure that the people that are working with it, other team members, understand what the goal is. So if there is an issue, you don't need to report every issue because just like employees, they're going to make mistakes. But if it's an ongoing issue, like, all right, there's 15 of these prompts that aren't right, then that's when we have to put a ticket in so the FDE understands that something's wrong with the agent. Maybe the agent was just having a bad day, who knows? But, making sure not to overwhelm the FDE with all this information that might not necessarily be important. So I would say that making sure that the team understands what to do, that's probably the biggest part. But also to have a successful relationship with your FDE and HOAI, your team also has to buy in. So if your team doesn't buy in, then it's not going to really work out for any party.
I love that. I 100% agree that and it almost, I should have said this earlier, but the buy-in aspect, what does buy-in even look like? Buy-in to me is we have someone looking at proposals and making modifications when something isn't incorrect. I understand that there are instances where we have managers or employees who want to just project and do within Vantaca, but it really helps train the agent and it really helps out helping the agent actually process things in Vantaca. If we do modify, give more context, that's going to get us closer to auto proceed and having the agent automatically do what it is that you want it to do. And I love what you said about, yeah, basically treating it like a partnership where both teams can learn together and work to have that best communication channel. I think that's great.
And I think we're all learning together. It's all new.
Yep, very true, very true. That's awesome. Cool. Well, that really is the end of our session. But then any questions that we have, if anyone wants to chat in the QA box. Let's see. All right, here's one that says, what is the difference between HOAI and other AI tools that your team already uses?
I was excited about this because we had a quick run through last week, and one of my teammates, the one that just messaged us in the panel Q&A box with no question, brought this lovely information to us and said that she actually recommends HOAI over ChatGPT because HOAI actually knows the association, knows the documents, knows everything else without all the additional context. So she's able to provide a better response quicker than ChatGPT with having to give it the additional information. So I thought that was neat because it was an unprompted fact, I guess, opinion. And I was like, oh, well, I'm going to use that. That's great. So I think that there is a difference between the two, especially if anyone is new to AI, HOAI will know your associations better than ChatGPT or Copilot or any of that.
It almost feels redundant because what you're talking about is the context that's already there within Vantaca that the agent has as you are prompting it in the chat portion of HOAI versus using ChatGPT, Copilot, whatever other AI is. And while they are all great, we know that they're not made alike. And yeah, I think it is kind of cool that that additional context is what makes those responses so great. Let's see, here's another question. How long does it take before HOAI starts producing outputs for your team to rely on?
I mean, I guess it depends on how much you're working in HOAI in those first 2 weeks, right? You know, one time, probably not going to get the results that you want. But if you're in there and you're utilizing it daily, I would say, even once a day, you will see results and it's going to learn you and your personality, which is kind of scary sometimes, but it's fun to see how fast it can actually learn and how fast it can make decisions.
Yeah, that's actually something we track is the action rate that all of your FDEs are looking at. And the action rate just means of all the proposals that we're building that we create based off of the action items, we're looking to see what percentage of those are actually being proceeded or modified on. So that's something we track internally and knowing that the higher the action rate, the more likely you are to be successful. I think that ties into the buy-in that you brought up earlier. I definitely agree. Any input? Let's see. No, what workflows should we start with is a question we got.
Well, I would obviously say AP, the invoice approval, that was super easy for us, I think, but maybe not for others. But identify what your biggest pain point is in your company and work with your FDE and see if you can resolve those pain points and create a, 6-month agenda. Like, let's get through these. Let's try to work through these. Let's get through these pain points. And maybe the pain points are something that you need to look at internally, not necessarily with the HOAI, but identify those pain points. And I think that would be a big help.
Yeah, it's interesting. That question, it just goes so broad because, right, whatever you feel like is going to take the most time. There's some clients I've done something with meeting minutes first thing was the priority. But knowing AP and the load that that can lift from that team really makes it a great one. Let's see. Let me look through some more questions here. What does a forward deployed engineer actually do, and how involved do we need to be?
I don't know how.
I mean, maybe go from your perspective, and then I'll give my thoughts after you do.
Okay, so I think that you guys obviously need to be involved because I don't know how to code an agent. So I'm gonna say, hey, I think this is broken because it's not sending to the homeowner, and that's about all I can do from my side.
Well, I feel like what you're trying to sum up is communication. It's the communication from the client is what I feel like we need. But what we're going to do is basically we have a templated guideline of how we want the agent to work that's set up. And what we can do then is build the agent to work the way you want it to. And that's where the communication starts, but then the communication is more on priorities, but then also you give us context of what is it that you actually need to accomplish at the beginning when HOAI is first starting, or whenever you're first implementing it, or even implementing a new workflow. If you think through the lens of this is an intern, I need to train it, I need to give it context, I need Erica, you and your team to give me feedback on, I want the agent to do this. And oftentimes that doesn't mean just here's an action item. It does mean that we need to understand what happened wrong and the way we want it to go right and the details of how we know. That communication is what's going to ensure that we're able to push the needle forward and actually get the agent to be working automatically for us in the future.
I agree. I also want to like mention the feedback. The feedback needs to be productive feedback. It can't just be like it's not working and the end of it. It doesn't really work that way. It needs to be like, hey, I noticed XYZ. Kind it needs to be a little bit more specific. It's because if you don't give that specific buy-in, then or the specific language, then it's just kind of you go nowhere.
Yeah, there's definitely an aspect of the role that I have felt where the FDE is a help me help you role where it is a partnership truly. I want every one of my clients to be successful, but I need the help from every one of my clients to help me be successful. And definitely something that I can attest to working with Alliant has been and it wasn't always that way at the beginning. It took a lot of like back and forth and understanding the groundwork of what success looked like. But once it truly became a partnership, I felt like a rocket ship going with AI and implementing everything, and it's been really, really exciting. Awesome. Let's see. Do you have any other questions? Trying to see if I see any more. Let's see.
I think one of the questions that is a good one is what happens if the HOAI gets something wrong? It will get something wrong, but also employees, like humans, get things wrong. So there needs to be some kind of forgiveness. Um,
Mhm.
when you're in the early stages of trading it, I think the goal is to make sure that you are also you have your two screens and you're watching HOAI here and this is saying what it's doing, but on this screen in Vantaca, you need to make sure that it's actually doing that. And it could be a configuration in HOAI or it can be a configuration in Vantaca, but identifying where the issue is. But when you identify that there is an issue, you actually do respond to that homeowner and let them know, hey, notice that your statement wasn't attached. See a attached statement. So just making sure that the human that is training and overseeing it is actually going through it properly and making sure that they are training it.
Yeah, with the end goal of being truly agentic, and then you don't even have to oversee the process, just like we did with your AP team. Now the invoice comes in and it's essentially ready, prepared in Vanica, just as that process has as you've trained it from the beginning to where it is today. So that's what's so cool. Love that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. Appreciate you guys joining. If you guys aren't a customer and you're interested in a demo, again, you can just chat meet in the QA box at any point in time. And yep, our team's going to follow up with a recording. Erica, I can't thank you enough. I know that this was a big lift for you and your team. So thank you very much. And I really do appreciate your time in partnership.
No, thank you. Still think we should have wore leprechaun hats, but it's fine.
Thank you so much.